it's you. I haven't seen you and Retem since the battle with Renus. Hattie and the others wanted to get my advice and called me here. But I'm done with that now, and I'm just taking a little breather. Hattie and I have known each other a long time. I remember that day long ago. Our squad was on an expedition to Retem, and we came under a massive Dolls attack. That's when I met Hattie for the first time. Our guys were hurting pretty bad, but Hattie's squad was even worse off. Hattie is a brave and capable Arks defender, but that day, he'd spread himself a little thin protecting his comrades. And then the Dolls attacked him from all sides. I lent a hand and helped get him out of a bad scrape. And we've been good friends and comrades in arms ever since. I guess we just understand each other. We're both castes and we're both loyal supporters of our leaders. When the war was going really bad in Retem, and none of us could even get away to go help, we lost touch for a while. But now we're close again, just like old times. And it's entirely thanks to you three again. I'm truly grateful.
Glad to see you. I was just wrapping up a few central canon details. Thanks to the data Ilma sent, I've been able to ferret out all manner of technical problems. And it's all thanks to the three of you. My sincerest thanks. You're right. I heard that you three and the 5 siblings worked to put it all together. How I met Ilma is kind of a funny story. One day, I saw that some anonymous comments had been made on data I'd uploaded to the library. The comments described errors in my work in meticulous detail. Incredulous, I re-examined my data, and sure enough, the commenter was right. Wondering who I was dealing with, I looked up the address. It had come from Kvaris. That immediately made me think of one person, of course. But I knew that Lysis, whom I had been in communications with before, had passed away. I contacted the lodge, and it was Ilma who answered. He told me that his mechanical skills were entirely self-taught. His free-spirited approach to problems was refreshing to me. I've been asking his advice on a variety of problems ever since. Including, of course, Central Canon. He's been working his way through the vast collection of research Lysis left behind. His ingenuity, combined with that logical mind, makes him second to none. I'd better work hard to keep up with him. Well, I suppose I should get back to working on Central Canon now. I have to make sure it's ready when we need it, right?
Oh, hey you! Perfect timing. Can we talk? What do you think of the people of Retem? Of course! Me too! When we first got here, I thought all of them were really super scary. Fighting is part of life for them, so they give off this total only the strong survive vibe. Or like, they really believe that might makes right. Remember how uptight they were when we got here and Renus Retem attacked? They acted like they couldn't be bothered with some outsiders like us. But after getting to know them, I know that's not how they really are. when I made the effort, I found out that they're really kind. They even showed me how to survive in the desert. They told me all about which enemies I should be aware of, where to find food, and all kinds of other really helpful advice. A lot of them also asked me about Alio. They haven't interacted with the outside world much, but they are interested in it. It's just that they've been so busy fighting that they didn't have time for much else. And even their strongest fighters never brag. They look out for each other, protect the weak, and help those in need. Oh, and they also talked about Nadera a lot. I could really tell that they were doing everything they could to support her. Not only do they respect her, but they completely trust her to lead them. I can really feel how united all the people of Retem City are. When I stopped to think, it made me realize that the people of Alio Town are the same. I almost feel like I found my new hometown. Which means I need to do my part to be a contributing member of Retem Arcs too. I know I can do it! Oh, is that you? Were you listening just now? Nope. Singing practice. I'm shy, so I like to practice here by myself. Nadera's singing was so beautiful. She's such a good fighter and a good singer. It's no fair. Hattie and the others were amazing too. Yeah, I thought it might be fun to sing along with everyone. Lately, I've been talking with Nadera often, and singing comes up a lot. When it comes to singing, she takes her practice just as seriously as her combat training. She's always trying to figure out how to best convey her emotions through her songs. Even though she lost the power of song and didn't sing publicly for a while, she told me she was still practicing the whole time. She is a really hard worker. I think that's exactly why everyone is so supportive of her. Manon said she didn't think that Nadera's singing would have any effect on us. But I feel like I can do anything when I hear her sing. Now that I think of it, we all used to sing in Aliotown too. We used to sing and let it all out. Then we'd get a good night's sleep and be all ready for the next day. I think maybe song has a lot of power to begin with. I wish I could be like that. I wish I had some sort of special talent that I could use to help people. Oh, that reminds me. Once when I talked to Nadera, she let me see her room, and it's, well, it was super cute. She has little pink Rappy dolls all over her bed and stuff. They're everywhere. I wonder where she got all that stuff. Maybe one of her attendants made them. Or maybe she did? Oops. She made me swear I wouldn't tell anyone about her room. Sorry, forget I said it. come over here for a minute. Take a look. The view is beautiful. Every part of Kvaris is so pretty. But when I think about how this view is the result of a fight with Dark Falls, I'm not sure how I should feel. Whew, we're at high altitude. It sure is cold up here. I don't think I could have made it up here without these clothes. Manon was talking about how she can deal with this cold by stimulating her internal photons or something. I'm not so sure about that. It's pretty cold. Oh, I got these from Crawford. Well, I guess it's more accurate to say my dad had them set aside for me. I guess my dad made a bunch of arrangements there in case anything ever happened to him. He generally was the type to just go with the flow, but I guess he did plan ahead sometimes. I feel like I'm just now starting to understand some things about him. I guess the fact that he set these clothes aside for me means that he predicted I would come here at some point. He never did teach me much about fighting, but now this makes me wonder if he was planning to get around to it someday. By the way, I notice you always wear whatever you like. Don't you ever get cold? Wow, is that a Meteoran thing too? It's so strange. Well, I think I'll look around this area a little bit more before I move on. See you later! Oh, hey! I didn't know you were here. Oh, I'm just about to head over to the lodge. I promised I'd visit Mary. We sure did. I've been stopping by to hang out ever since we rescued Ilma. For some reason, I felt like I knew Mary from the first moment we met her. I hardly knew any girls around my age until Manon showed up. Obviously, Mary and I were raised in totally different environments. And I figured out why when I saw her break up that argument between her brothers. People usually got along pretty well in Aleo Town for the most part, but when they would fight, they would get so tangled up in pride and status and saving face that they would never back down. So I would always try to go in and make peace. I guess Mary plays kind of a similar role with her brothers as the one I did. Or like how I was always there to make food for everyone when they would come home tired from fighting. It's nice when people enjoy your cooking, but it's hard when food runs out all the time. And how everyone was always asking me to cook this or that. When I talk to Mary about that kind of thing, she can totally relate. So we've been talking a lot lately because we have so much in common. Would you like to join us? You wouldn't be a bother. But I didn't tell Mary I'd be bringing you along, so maybe it's not such a good idea. Yeah, well, maybe next time. Oh, look at the time. I need to get going. See you later!
The signal is... Theoretically, it should be like this. Oh, when did you get here? You surprised me again. You're pretty good at doing that. I'm trying to learn more about photon tuners. Of course, I got permission from the people of Retem first. What I really want to know about these tuners isn't so much how they work, but I'm more interested in Nadera's power of song that they broadcast. Her ability has something to do with the relationship between her internal and external photons. Which would mean that it's something pretty similar to a technique. But a technique with that kind of area of effect would require an incredible amount of photons. I don't see how anyone could pull that off all by themselves. So, I thought I might start by looking into these devices. But no luck, I guess. From what I've been able to gather so far, the tuner amps are not very powerful. So, what that means is that Nadera herself is generating the vast majority of it. It's possible that she's tapping into some power even more basic than that used for techniques. I'm wondering if it might be what's known as magic. That's a good idea, but I get the feeling that she may not understand it very well herself. But what we do know is that the power of song only passed down through her family line. And her power manifests differently than that of her ancestors. In fact, now I remember her saying that her feelings come through in her songs. For example, the feeling that she didn't want her people to get hurt was stronger than her feeling that she wanted them to fight harder. That had an effect on enemies and weakened them. No, I still need more data before I can even formulate a hypothesis. Regardless, it's impossible to totally quantify something like emotion. If it turns out that it's not possible to explain her power scientifically, then it has to be something supernatural. Fancy seeing you here. Lysis dedicated his entire life to the revival of Kvaris. He spent every waking moment trudging through snow and ice to find out what happened. The rapid and violent change that took place in the environment during that war with Dark Falls. He left vast amounts of data in the Lodge study and the Lost Central terminals. At the Lost Central especially, in addition to files about the current state of the city, there were also plans for how to get it up and running again. To restore it to its former glory as the original Central City, and not just Lost Central. My guess is that Ilma and the others will carry the torch for Lysis now. But there's no telling how long it might take them. And one other thing. There was data regarding Central Cannon in Lysis's report too. Kvaris arcs also used the cannon to repel the Dark Falls invasion. The records indicate that nearly 100% of the output capacity and stability have been preserved. That incomplete file about the Central Cannon that was in the study, Ilma finding that is how this all got started. When he shared the report with Crawford to get his thoughts on it, he also started trying to see if he could research it himself. And in the process, he realized that there was still more data to be found in Lost Central. You know the rest of the story. Now that we have all of the data, we should be able to make progress towards restoring Central Cannon. Lysis really did put his heart and soul into building a better future for everyone. Yeah, we will. Everyone is giving it their all. Not just for themselves, but for everyone. I've met so many amazing people while traveling with you two. They all have that in common, even if their circumstances might be different. How else can I help the people of Alpha? That's what I'm working on figuring out. I had a feeling you might come. You always creep up on me at times like this. Let me guess. You're interested in that place too? Yeah. Lysis also mentioned this place in his report. The people of Kvaris gave Belagana Ruins its name. They refurbished the large ruins that were already here and turned them into a habitable place. Its population was on the order of Los Centrals. It was considered second only to the first central city. And then, 100 years ago, it turned back into ruins again. Kvaris' technical proficiency at the time was far superior to Alio or Retem's. They used to make vehicles that would be considered advanced, even by today's standards. They poured out all that ingenuity into their fight against the dolls. The weapons and manufacturing techniques they came up with made them quite formidable. But even with that, they couldn't withstand the dolls' onslaught. They ended up almost completely wiped out. The reason was that their Ark's defenders were subpar. They relied too much on their superior weaponry and didn't develop their fighting abilities. The foundation of every Ark's defender is photons. No matter how powerful the weapon, without ammo or energy, it's worthless. In the end, all you can really rely on is your own photons and your ability to wield them. The Kvaris Ark's defenders weren't able to do that, and so they lost. Or at least that was the gist of the information found in Lysis's data. I only got to see some of the documents, but from what I saw, he mentioned the war often. Not only was he passionate about his research, but he was an excellent Ark's defender. At a basic level, all Ark's defenders need to excel in both martial and scientific pursuits. On that point, it's pretty similar to how Retem's Ark's defenders think. Neither Alio nor Retem have anything like the technology that Kvaris had at the time. But even if they did, they wouldn't have the capacity to produce it in mass. So they have to make do with the weaponry that they have. Which means that each Ark's defender has to actually know how to fight. There simply isn't any other choice.
It's hard to get a good feel for what it's like from so far away like this. Oh, good to see you again. Oh, I just came outside for a breath of fresh air. It can get pretty stuffy in the command room after a while. Oh, by the way, I was just organizing the survey reports from the Kvaris region. Would you like to hear about them? Great, let's go over them. Currently, Kvaris is a frozen region, completely covered in snow. But records show that it once had a more temperate climate and was lush with vegetation. Not unlike the way Aelio is now, I imagine. Back then, it was home to many people, and it was even more flourishing than Aelio or Retem is today. But then there was the Dark Falls attack, and Kvaris became almost uninhabited overnight. Well, overnight might be a slight exaggeration, but there's no doubt the environment there changed drastically in a very short amount of time. The data on that period is missing from the records, so the reason remains a mystery. Although they managed to defeat Dark Falls, the people of Kvaris were still forced to relocate. Many of them fled to Aelio and began building this central city. And they say some of them went to the Retem region too. Kvaris had been all but uninhabited ever since. The advance team this time is part of the largest extended operation in the region so far. For such a long time, defending their own regions was all Aelio and Retem could do. But now that we have your help, we've finally been able to make inroads into Kvaris. We really appreciate all that you're doing for us. I'm sure the advance team knows much more than I do about the latest conditions in Kvaris. Ask them anything. If I weren't so busy with my operator work, I would have liked to try out for the advance team myself. I'd love to hear about what it's like there when you get back if you have time. I'll be waiting. Oh, just in time. I'm thinking about putting together a report on the Stia region. See it? It's right over there. Would you mind if I run some of it by you first? All right. Here goes, then. It's a colossal volcanic island located on the other side of Halphia Lake. We have an advanced team exploring it now, just like Kvaris. Although it's been several years since they first started out, they still haven't been able to make much progress. There are 3 things in their way. First of all, the interior terrain is really rough. Second, many incredibly powerful dulls have been detected in the area. And third, communications between the advanced team and Central City are not going well. The interior of Stia is like a multi-story structure, and the team has seen energy plants in there. They think that Doll's production may be going on somewhere in there. Well, we're waiting on a report from the advanced team for more details, but communication is slow. The team wants to recon the Doll's production site, and even destroy it if at all possible. But Crawford won't authorize the advanced team to do that yet. He's saying he thinks it's still too soon. We do need to strengthen the defenses of each region, but we also can't just leave those dolls in Stia to wreak havoc. Both arguments seem equally valid, but we just haven't had the numbers to manage both at the same time. The team in Stia keeps insisting something truly nefarious is going on, but they've been unable to act on it. Those restraints may be released fairly soon. We've been building up cooperation with Retem and finally managed to make inroads in Kvaris. The repair of Central Cannon is coming along at a rapid pace, too. And it's all thanks to your help. We have no choice but to start putting more resources into the situation in Stia now. I imagine we'll have difficult battles ahead of us, so we'd better be well prepared. We want to do all we can to help, in whatever way we can. Well, I'll let you know if there are any new developments.
Ah, you, is it? I thought I'd rid the place of enemies while enjoying a stroll. Perfect timing. There is something I require your help with. I would like to ask you about the relationship we will be building between Retem and Aelio. Now that we will be cooperating, it would be proper for us to learn more about each other. I am not very familiar with the ways of Aelio, however. Other than military affairs, I know little of its culture and customs. As we are personally acquainted, I thought I could practice some cultural exchange with you. Come now, don't worry. Nothing more difficult than some simple conversation, just as we are doing now. What do you think? Is that so? Very good then. With Manon, I have had some exchanges about technological matters and the like. But I have not had much opportunity to speak with Aina. How should I phrase this? There are not many in Retem with a temperament such as hers. I find myself at a loss as to how to start a conversation. How do you usually interact with her? What are her interests, for example? Mind singing? I suppose I could talk about that. I see. This has been useful. My thanks. Do you have a moment now? I'd like to know more about you as well. Let me see. What shall I ask? That's not it. I cannot seem to master it. Who is that there? You, is it? You are quite skilled at making yourself invisible. Impressive. Merely my daily training. This is a perfect location for it. Wouldn't you agree? It is my dance lesson. I say lesson, but I no longer have a teacher. My family's gift is the power of song. But that power is not derived from singing alone. Only when song and dance combine as one does the true power manifest. That is what my mother always taught me. Singing aside, dance has always been a weak point of mine. Oh, how my mother used to scold me during my lessons. When I stopped singing in front of others, I stopped dancing as well. Now that I am singing publicly again, however, I can no longer neglect my dancing. And so I make the time to train myself daily in the art of dance. But having said that, however, I still find it difficult to be watched. If my dancing skills were a little more polished, I could perform for you and ask for your feedback. Or perhaps you could dance with me. I was only teasing. Before I can reveal my song and dance, I need to be certain that I've mastered them first. When that time comes, I want you to be there. Goodbye now. Oh, and no more peeping from behind boulders. It's you. I was hoping I might talk to you, if it's not an imposition. It was an arduous battle. Of course, it's not over yet, but at the very least, we've reached a major milestone. In this seemingly endless battle against Retem, so many have given their lives in this struggle. If we had continued to fight on, alone, without accepting your help, I have no doubt we would have been defeated. The people of Retem have long relied on their own strength alone to solve their problems. We asked for help from no one. We were proudly self-sufficient. It was always thought that that was best. In this land covered in sand and surrounded by mountains, cut off from the outside world, our perspective became limited as well. When the three of you arrived here, many of our people viewed you with little but skepticism. Some even suggested that joining together with you in battle would dishonor us. In truth, it was because of these opinions of my people that I refused your offer at first. When I look back on it, such pride was foolish. You helped us realize the error of our thinking. You came to this faraway land and proved that your methods are effective. Seeing this, Jalil and Mohsen had a change of heart. And in truth, so did I. Allow me to offer you my gratitude once again. I cannot thank you enough for rescuing Retem from this danger. There is truth in that. Every single time I come here, I always feel such a deep sense of shame. That feeling has not changed. But at least now I can tell them that they are finally victorious. The struggles of our predecessors have made us what we are today. And in the end, victory is ours. I can tell them that their deaths were not in vain. And the emotions I feel when I sing have begun to transform as well. By the way, there is something I have been meaning to ask you. How did it come to be that Manon knew the Song of Mourning? It is true that it has been passed down in my family for generations. It is also well known amongst my people. Perhaps it is not unreasonable that she may have heard it somewhere. Well, we've chatted at length. That's enough for now, I think. Why don't we pay our respects together?
Greetings. What do you say? Would you like to hear an old story of mine? Good. I've never really liked this place. This Alnotha. It brings back memories of that day, you see. I remember well that day, that Nadera sang in front of everyone. The entire audience fell silent as the color drained from Nadera's face. In a panic, I cleared the venue, but Nadera just stood there in silence, her shoulders trembling. Never once before or since have I seen her like that. Everyone had simply assumed that she had the power of song. It had always been passed down from parent to child. It's a power not to be displayed without proper decorum. Especially not when the wielder was young, before it had been fully mastered. When Nadera was very young, she would only ever sing in front of her mother, Aldelia. Back then, Aldelia once spoke with me in regards to Nadera's power. She said that one day, Nadera's abilities would surpass her own. Now that Aldelia is gone, I can no longer ask her what she meant by that. But what I think Aldelia sensed was not Nadera's power of song exactly, but I think she was just confusing her own power with Nadera's, as it resonated with Nadera's singing abilities. In any case, from that day forward, until you people came along, no one truly understood Nadera's power. Of course, I've already told you the story of how Nadera behaved after that. She threw herself into studying the art of war, as if to make up for what she lacked. In an attempt to support her, we also threw ourselves into the pursuit of raw strength. Once Nadera stopped singing, the musical culture of Retem sadly began to die out. Day after day, all we did was fight enemies and fall down exhausted at night. And then wake up and do it all again. At the rate we were going, Retem arcs would inevitably burn out. But just as I was beginning to become seriously worried, you arrived in Retem so gallantly. These folks will bring about a change for us. Looking back, it seems strange I was so convinced without any evidence. But when I saw you fight, that's what I thought. Of course, You know better than anyone what happened after that. Nadera's true power manifested itself, and Retem was finally suppressed. And then music returned to Retem. Thank you again for everything you've done. Exactly. And Retem arcs can't do without either one. It took many, many years for all of us to realize it. And now, thanks to all of you, it isn't painful for me to come to this place anymore. We are in your debt. And now it's our turn to try and repay you. If you ever need anything, please do not hesitate. Ah, it's you. Standing here with you like this, it makes me remember that day. I mean the day that I first met you folks. This is the one and only trade route between Retem and Alio. I've met all kinds of people here. This is also where I first ran into Dozer as well. I remember it clearly. Back then, just like today, there was a large incursion of dolls in the area. We had people out here on patrol each and every day. And then, one day, my squad and I were here scouting around, and we came under sudden attack. We were heavily outnumbered, and little by little, the enemy closed in on us. I put my guys behind me and tried to protect them to the best of my ability. Before I knew it, I fought my way through countless enemies and found myself at the edge of the fight. And that's when I noticed. In addition to me and my squad, there were others here fighting the dolls as well. It was Dozer and his squad. At the time, his attention was entirely on the enemy directly in front of him. He apparently hadn't noticed that another dolls unit was sneaking up behind him. So, I instantly mowed that enemy down and got Dozer out of a bad scrape. And, well, we've been good friends and comrades in arms ever since. Tell Dozer? Why would I? But perhaps you're right. It would be pleasant to talk over old times. There was a period when the fighting was so intense that we lost touch for a while. But as of late, there have been more opportunities to talk to him and the others from Alio again. We used to discuss military matters exclusively, but now we talk about everyday topics too. And you know, it's all thanks to you three. I'm truly grateful. Greetings. Well, The Alio people asked me to do a favor for them. They've requested that I investigate the lower level of McQuad here. As you of course already know, there's a broad open space at the bottom of this pit. And that space is filled with rows of large buildings. Old documents have these various structures labeled as energy plants. In other words, structures that house devices capable of producing energy. Until now, Retem couldn't spare any manpower to learn more than that about McQuad. As far as we were concerned, the place was always little more than the lair of Renus Retem. But now, as it turns out, we have a little more time on our hands. So Alio asked that someone come and examine the place further. I've always been curious about it, so naturally I volunteered. Lately, Alio has been sending a survey team of its own to conduct all kinds of investigations. They even allowed me to help with things I've never even done before. It's been slow going, but I am learning more and more about the plants. For example, did you know that some of those facilities are still operating? And apparently, the energy produced at those plants even helps supply Retem City. The plants require no maintenance whatsoever. They simply keep operating forever on their own. I could never even imagine such feats of engineering. But to think that our lives were being powered by energy created in the enemy's stronghold, truth really is stranger than fiction. I learned something else, too. Some traces of something having to do with the dolls were found in the McQuad facilities. Their investigation is still ongoing. All I've heard is that body tissue consistent with dolls' units was found in some of the facilities. We had always made the assumption that the dolls simply found that big pit and decided to inhabit it. But if there is a deeper relationship between the dolls and those buildings, then something is definitely fishy. At this point, all we can do is speculate. I will be sure to let you know if I'm able to learn anything further. It's kind of nice, actually. Finding something else that could pique my interest as much as combat or music does. In a better world, perhaps I might have been a research scientist. One never truly knows down which path fate will lead him.
Huh? Are you here doing shopping too? Oh, okay. Well, I came to exchange some of our leftover food. I remember this place used to be completely silent and deserted. Sometimes some Arks defenders from Aelia would come to do some surveying or excavation. But that was really only once in a blue moon. By the time you guys showed up, lots of people were coming here. It was kind of unnerving at first. I mean, I'd never seen so many different people. It wasn't just me either. My siblings always seemed to be on edge too. We were preoccupied with Ilma too. But then things started to settle down a little, and I started having conversations with them. And I came to find out they were all really nice. They'd ask things like, "Do you need anything?" and "Do you have enough food?" Some of them even treated us like their own children. We've always taken care of ourselves completely on our own, so that's what we were used to. But I feel like they taught me what it really means to take care of one another. Our grandpa always used to tell us to take care of each other, of course. But I don't think I really understood what that meant until now. It's not just superficial cooperation. Noticing when the other person is upset, or being able to ask for help when you need it. That's what taking care of one another really means. These kind people, and you three taught me that. Thank you again. I'm really grateful to you for helping us rescue Ilma. Yes, I guess we did. But if that incident had never happened, I think the 5 of us would still just be doing our own thing. Now, we know how to truly take care of each other. And these kind people, too. You too. If you ever need anything, don't hesitate to ask. We'll gladly do anything we can to help. welcome. What are you up to today? Oh yes, almost too well actually. Ilma is devoting himself to his research, same as ever. Tyvis and Thule are competing over which one can defeat the most enemies. And Kuka often helps me with my work. None of those things have changed. But there are some things that have changed. Kuka goes out to do things with his brothers more often now. He helps Tyvis and Thule fight enemies. And he helps Ilma's investigations. I've noticed that Tyvis and Thule go out together a lot lately. Before, it always seemed like if one went east, the other one went west. And it feels like they help me with my work more often now, too. Helping me hunt tames or pick fruits and vegetables. I try to help them as much as I can, too. But when Ilma gets talking about his research, it's like he's speaking a foreign language. Speaking of talking, I chat with Aina and Manon a lot more now. Aina tells me about your journey together so far, and her memories of Aleo Town. What a terrible thing it is, what happened to her. But she seems to feel comfortable talking to me about it. She says it's because we're both survivors. And that makes me so happy. And then there's Manon, too. She tells me about all kinds of things I'd never heard of, having always lived here in Kvaris. Like different creatures and other environments. She's not as difficult to understand as Ilma, of course, but sometimes I still can't quite keep up. Oh, by the way, do you have a little more time after this? I was hoping you could tell me some of your stories. Oh, wonderful! Let's go back to the lodge to talk then. Just a little more. Oh, I didn't know you were here. Yes, if I don't keep at it, they get buried in the snow. But to tell the truth, they were never actually laid to rest here. Not my mother, or my father, or my grandpa. I don't remember my parents very well. We were all so young when that disaster occurred on Mount Latva, and we never saw them again. That's why we were raised by our grandpa. The one who taught us all about how to live in this snow country was our grandpa. But then one night, he went out in a blizzard and never came back. The people of Alio helped us search for him, but we never found any clue about what happened to him. Ever since then, we've had to survive out here, all on our own. The Alio folks recommended we move to Central City. But we had already decided to try and carry out our grandpa's dreams here. And that's how we ended up staying here. But things never really went well for us. Each one of us worked as hard as we could at whatever we were able to do. But we never seemed to mesh with each other emotionally. We fought over our goals and plans a lot. And we never could quite understand what we were doing wrong. And that's the way the years passed. We didn't realize our mistakes until Ilma's disappearance. After the three of you showed up. Thank goodness we don't have to live that way anymore. I'm so glad. Thanks to the three of you, I think we can move forward without repeating the mistakes of our past. Whether it's about Lost Central, or about the enemies you encountered down the road. If you ever need help with anything, just let us know. Because now, it's our turn to help you. There's not much I can do all by myself, of course. But with the 5 of us together, there's nothing we can't do. Now, let me promise you. Here, in front of my grandpa and my parents, I will support you in your battles in every way that I can. You can count on me.
Who's there? Well, fancy seeing you. What are you doing here? I'm conducting an investigation for my research. Oh, but don't worry. I wasn't planning on going to Lost Central. Actually, I'd like to go to Lost Central too, to continue my research. But Mary and the others yelled at me and told me never to go there alone again. By the way, thank you for rescuing me a while back. There was so much going on, I don't think I ever said thanks. At the time, I had no idea all that stuff was going on outside. Communications were jammed, and there were all those tough dolls roaming around out there. I had some food with me, and there were mountains of research materials I wanted to go through. So I thought I'd just settle in and try to escape when I got the chance. I guess I probably should have left a note, or something. I was reading my grandpa's reports in the Lodge's study, and I came across a description of Central Cannon. Wow, that sounds cool, I thought. And before I knew it, I was on my way. I have a bad habit of losing sight of everything else when I get something in my head that I'm interested in. I need to work on that. But at least it got Central Cannon on the path to repair, right? And I got a good start on exploring Lost Central too, right? So the pros and cons kind of balance out in the end, don't you think? Seriously? Not you too? Mary, really let me have it when I got back to the lodge that day too. Ever since then, I've made sure to let someone know before I go out anywhere. And I always call if I think I'm going to be late getting home. I try not to go off by myself too much. My siblings used to all kind of do their own thing most of the time. But now they check in with each other more and go out together a lot. Ever since that one incident, I'd say a lot of things have really changed. That's good, right? I plan to start putting even more effort into helping Elio now. I'm going to help with Central Cannon development and do everything I can to support them. And then the pros and cons should really balance out, don't you think? Well, I'd better get going. Thank you again.
Emergency.
Oh, it's you. I'm just taking care of a little favor for Crawford. Oh, that's right. Do you have a minute? Since we'll be working together going forward, I should probably tell you some things about Crawford and me. I'll tell you then. As you probably know, my family has never lived anywhere but Kvaris. The only people I ever saw or talked to were my siblings. Every once in a while, some Arcs defenders from Alio would stop by. But just to get directions or to exchange a little bit of news. The only other thing I ever saw was a vast expanse of white. My siblings are all pretty enthusiastic about Grandpa's old dream of reviving Kvaris. But for me, something has always seemed lacking in this kind of life, somehow. And then one day, I was organizing some data at my terminal when I happened to come across a research forum. As I was reading it, some data caught my eye. Come to find out later, it was written by Crawford. I happened to notice some mistakes, so I posted some comments. And the person started hammering me with questions. So, that's how I met Crawford. Well, I say met, but we were more like pen pals. Never. To tell the truth, I doubt I would even recognize him if I did. He probably wouldn't be able to recognize me either. But wait, we sent our profile pics to each other once. My picture was kind of old. I heard that you used that photo when you were out looking for me. Really? Sorry, you must have had a pretty difficult search then. I know all of us siblings look pretty similar. If we had the same clothes and hair color, you probably couldn't tell us apart. Anyway, getting back to the subject. Even without seeing his face, I can pretty much imagine how he feels just reading his reports. I can tell how passionate he is about a topic, or which areas he struggled with. I feel like we understand each other, even without meeting in person or talking. Even now, we still correspond about technology, mostly by writing. So our relationship has always been somewhere between just plain research partners and real friends. Lately, I've had more chances to correspond with other research scientists too, but their responses are never as quick and accurate as Crawford's. It's really made me realize all over again what an amazing man he is. Hey, don't tell Crawford any of this, okay? He'll get a big head about it. Well, that's it about Crawford and me. I bet a lot of people would think the two of us are kind of weird. Anyway, I just wanted to tell you about it. Well, see you later.